Welcome back everybody to the weekend show where in this video I'll be talking about SMH, SOXX, Semiconductor ETF, SanDisk, MU, and possibly talk about ARM. So before we get started, please hit that like button and that is greatly appreciated. And if you're new here, definitely consider subscribing. And now let's get right into Micron. All right, so MU, despite the rally in the market, it was down nearly 6% on Friday. But look at the rally off of the lows, guys. I mean, look at this massive monster move from almost 730 to, 830 right here on 930 actually. It was 732, 930, $200 move in just a matter of 2 days. So this is a big mover, and that's why I'm going to include from now on a video on MU, SOXX, SMH, possibly even add DRAM and make a separate video on these names because when I do the big mega cap stocks, or even if I do the stock market update, it just so much things to put on. I see some folks out there, they make hour-long video, and this is why this channel and myself is completely different because I don't think any one of you guys out there want to see 1 hour of crap. I just go and talk about these stocks. Nobody have time for that. You want to look at a few things that you like, and you want to get over with, right? You don't want to. This is not some movie that's gonna go on for an hour and a half, 2 hours, right? That's not what's happening here. I'm just trying to give you guys an update, where things are and how things are looking. So, AMU overall inside this, downtrend, flag, wedge, whatever you want to call it. We found bottom here as long as this support holds up right here, right about 734, 730. And if we can get over 930 right here, guys, this trend line breaks, let's say 957, where it's gonna be the next big resistance. I think game on for a move back up to the upside, and we all know how this thing came up. It happened before, it happened here, it happened here, but this is a little bit more than what happened before. One more thing I want to point out here, that from the top, if you look at it to the downside, I mean, this thing is down pretty significantly. Let me just raise this up. You can see it's down 42%. So, when it comes to correction, 40% down, this is also a big mover, big name that actually moves, a lot of the names, even the market itself, Nasdaq, right? So, AMU, watch if this support holds up right here. Right here at 8:15, 8:16 come Monday morning. If this holds up and this thing somehow gaps up and rallies over 8:30 and then 9:30 and then 9:57 here in this case, you're gonna see a big breakout, and it can happen definitely. We saw that with Nvidia. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had similar type of pattern, and this is exactly what's happening. Now, that does not guarantees that it's gonna break out and go. It can also come back and retest these areas, possibly bottom of this channel. That's totally possible. But key here, if you're bullish on AMU, hold 815 come Monday morning this week and some sort of a consolidation here, and then a break over this trend line would take it back over easily $1,000. So AMU definitely, you got to put this on your radar and see what it does next week. But if this low is taken out right here, this low is breached, then I would possibly look into maybe this low down here, 659, 660, and underneath that we got a bunch of gaps and maybe even a retest of these highs, which is gonna be down significantly if that happens. So I mean, this is not something I would go big, but keep an eye on this as this thing makes this wedge flag type of pattern on the daily time frame. All right, so on DRAM, it's down 3.76%, but look at that significant rally. And this is one of the play that I took and I sold right here, got all out because it was hitting the trend line. And then we slowly got back into it right here, right about 50. And I'm looking to even add more, just a smaller sizing here, not big as when it was here on Wednesday. So this was a really nice juicy dip. We got $10 off of this dip, guys, and this thing pays pretty well. So it was a nice, juicy trade. And now it looks similar to MU, and not to mention this is the ETF for the memory stocks. And you can see this thing needs to break 55. If it breaks and holds, oh my, this thing definitely can go back up. And this thing was down significantly as well. If you look at from the top to the bottom here, you can see I think it went down to like 44 somewhere there. It was down about 46%. So, you're getting nearly 50% discount on this ETF, and this is a fantastic opportunity. But keep that in mind. You have some gaps. Sometimes they can come down a little bit more too. But after 46% off, if you're ignoring something like this, I think that is a mistake. And that's why I'm still trying to keep exposure into DRAM. And I think if this thing breaks 55, it can go much, much higher. 50 support looks like we closed after hour. We're down a little bit here Friday. So if it comes back, 46 would be an ideal area to hold. If not, we can go a little bit lower here on DRAM. We'll talk about in the next update, see what it does going into Monday. All right, guys. So I haven't been sharing any trades or anything here in my channel, but there are serious people out there. And if you're one of those people who actually wants to make a career right in the stock market, and this is what you want to do, and I'm talking about only serious people, not somebody who trades one day and then next thing you know they're working and then they come back 3 months later and looking at the account and like, why it's down, this is the only trade I took. I'm not talking about those people. This is what I do day in day out, Monday through Friday. I do not work, and just wanted to share some trade ideas that we took recently. And you can see that this is Google, and we picked up at opening. Look at when I made the call out just before opening that I'm going to get these calls, and look at what's happening on Google. We filled the gap all the way up from that gap down on earnings, massive move to the upside. Here's another one on the 7/23rd, 2026 USO. It was trading at 140 plus, and we got 140 puts on this play right here, 100 contracts. And this thing also went to the moon. Tesla shares sold off, bought, still holding, and it's green. Now shares sold some, still holding some. That one is also green. You can see USO sold here, then Google took some profit, and then now right here, then we have, this was the most recent one from last week, Wednesday. Market sold off right after Kevin Warsh came out, and we bought the dip. DRAM $52 calls. What happened? We saw on Friday massive move up to 52, sold for a nice juicy profit. Nvidia same thing, sold off. We took DRAM shares also up, sold, took some profit, kept some. Meta holding shares, added even more. And then if you look at this one here, also green, guys. Meta calls sold off about 10, 11%, picked up the dip, and this is going really well right now. And these are long-term calls. You can see I even added more. All these ones that you see on my screen, and look at right here, coin shares picked up 10:18 a.m. at 140, went to 152. Apple calls picked up. This one also ran $10 before closing off of the lows where we got in here on Apple. So fantastic week. One of the best week so far, at least for me this year. And that was last week on that big dip that we saw on Wednesday, and the gap up on Thursday, and continuation on Friday. So if you want to do this seriously full time and you are serious about trading, then head over to Patreon. That link will be down below in the description for you guys. All right, so SOXX was up slightly, but if you look at my screen, look at the rejection came right here, right from 530, 533, just like MU. Got the rejection, came back, and just holding over 500. This is going to be a critical zone to hold. You can see low, and then even this high, this low, and then this high as well. So this is a critical area to hold around 500, 502. If it breaks, look at where we actually came down Wednesday. It was right down here at 462, 463, and we found support. So this thing on a downtrend as well, but down, quite a bit from the top. If this thing rallies over 530, it can go much, much higher. Next up would be 535.35. If it breaks over that, we'll talk about it. But as of right now, it's still holding pretty much underneath this trend line and just waiting for it to break. Now, if it breaks the low, yes, this thing went up on a monster run to the upside. Keep that in your back pocket where this low gets taken out, where this thing can land. In that case, that next scenario I want to give you guys is this area right here, which is 365. That would be a monthly retest of the breakout, but that's going to be a long way down, right? I mean, it's still trading at 500 plus. So I don't know if it's going to happen. We're going to go down that far, but nothing is impossible. But as of right now, this is still a nice juicy dip, nice opportunity. Gave back almost about $200 from the top. So that is a significant dip on something like SOXX. So watch out. This one can also make a move next week. On SMH is also flat on the day, and the same thing. Not gonna talk about it too much. On a downtrend, cannot break this trend line. We came really close to it. If you look at my screen on Friday, got the rejection off of that, and then now it's trading at 540. So the critical level here is 536, 537. If it breaks under, I would like it to come down and retest this area right here. And if you look at my screen, I mean, this thing went down to 504 almost, right? And we slightly going under a rejection area or support area 510 here, and then came back up. So pretty significant move from it was trading on Wednesday, but again, Friday did not really have a good day. So this is just a lower high, still on downtrend, and somewhat of a flag here on this daily time frame. Or even if you look at it weekly, it's the same pattern. But like I said, with the SOXX, keep that in your back pocket. If it takes out this low, we can go down a little bit more here. In that case, you just gotta, if you're in it, if you're playing this, you got to cut your losses right here. But as of right now, still a nice juicy dip, down quite a bit. Let's just measure how much this thing was down from the top. This is the top to the bottom here. It was down 25%. And whenever you see a correction 20% plus, I mean, this thing was in pretty much bear market. Especially on semiconductor ETF, that is a big correction, and usually it does not crash 40-50% that quickly. You get bounces, and this is what we got last week. So we need to see a break over this trend line, possibly over 560, 565. If it can trade over that, that would be a breakout in the short term. For more upside, definitely can go up to 578 right here and even higher. So SMH also, I mean, it looks good off of these lows, but still on a downtrend, but there might be lots of opportunity here on SMH. On ARM, it's down 0.77%. Now, this one I like it because it probably have a little bit more downside, but if you look at it, guys, I mean, this thing came off significantly. And let's just measure how much this thing came off the top. Uh, that is a significant move, 51% almost down from the top. So I'm actually looking at ARM come Monday to possibly play this. As of right now, this thing also just flagging in a downtrend inside this, wedge or flag pattern, whatever you want to, whatever you want to call it here. But the key thing I want to point out here that we had a lot of trading before that next leg up here. So this area here from 230 to possibly right here 200, this is a strong area of support, and so far you can see it bounced off of that, but even on those bounces it just keeps coming short and not really getting that breakout. If this thing breaks out right here, let's say this week somehow you get a break over 256 260 here, and it stays over that, that is going to be the breakout. What you don't want to see, it's this thing going below 200. That would be a significant move to the downside. And in that case, I mean, what was the previous, all-time highs and all that? It was 188, 180 area, right? That's where it might go. So ARM here looks really good after a massive correction, and earnings are behind also. So now is the time to play this, and I'm looking forward to this going into tomorrow morning. see if this thing actually can break this trend line. That would be the trade. But if it takes out this low, I would be more cautious here because look at what's happening here. We get bottom of this range like 200. If it breaks, we can go and retest the monthly time frame. But again, after 50% discount, if you're not taking risk, then you shouldn't be in the market. This is a another good big company. We just had a monster move, and now it's pulling back. Does not mean that we cannot go back up to those prices again. All right, so SanDisk was down 5%. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about this play because I don't really play SanDisk. What I played recently was SNDQ, the leverage ETF, and this thing was coming down, that thing went up, and I sold for a nice profit. I think I got in at $2.65 or 85 cents somewhere there. I think they also had a reverse split or something now. But I sold, I think when this thing was coming down right about here, didn't even wait for like a $1,000 range. But this is also down uh, huge. I mean, significant amount. If you look at it from the top where this thing came down, look at this move, guys. I mean, 57% on SanDisk. This is something that technicals does not really work many times. If it goes up, it's going to go up. If it comes down, it will be something big. So watch for this trend line to break, and that's going to be around 1465. So far we're nowhere near there. We had this monster move. I mean, look at the lows, 1000 right here, and look at the high here on Friday, 1400 plus, and then gave back 200. So it's insane how this thing moves. That's why, this is something I would not recommend to anybody unless you have big, big money to play with. But it's part of the market, part of the memory chips and all that. So that's why I'm covering this as well. And this thing moves the market as well. So, there's not much to talk about here. It's in overall downtrend inside this flag wedge pattern. It happened before, but these were like smaller pullbacks. We had this pullback here, and everything was going to end. Boom. We had this happen here. Everything was going to end, and then this massive rally. Now, this time, I don't know if this thing wants to come back. Gets a larger type of correction. I mean, this thing can have that. And if you look at it, I mean, where would that land? I mean, way down here, right? Into like six, 700, possibly into like 800. That's possible. But as of right now, keep that in back pocket where this thing had ran before, and if it breaks out, I mean, $200-300, move here on SanDisk is nothing. We also, I think, have earnings this week on SanDisk Thursday, so that is going to move this stock as well. Again, I do not recommend playing this unless you know exactly what you're doing. This is a really, really fast moving stock where it can go up, you can make a lot of money. Also, with the options, they're really pricey. You can also lose a ton of money within just a matter of few minutes. And that's all I have for you guys in this video. Let me know in the comment section if you guys like to see updates on these stocks on a separate video like I did today. I'll be making those 2 times a week from now on if you guys do comment below.